Oh, Haribol, welcome everybody. Namaste. It's great to have you with us for the Bhagavad Gita class. Mahabhagavad Das and Radhisham Das Kirtan started. Thank you again for all your kind comments. It's very encouraging. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh well, I'm probably doing a different tune, but anyway, it's got the E minor at the end. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Sitar Sati Shishimad Gita Kurus irresolute Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parirajika Sitar Sati Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Guru Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Nitai Ghosh World Mission ki jai. Navadvita Dhamma ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan ki jai. Mathura ki jai. Mayapur ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi Hare Hare Bol. Omagina Timurandasya Ganagana Turun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantekam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakap Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanan Bhavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimat Paramahansa Niti Namine Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Namine Gora Kuruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. Before speaking, first I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddhasarupananda Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. And offer my respectful obedience to the devotees of the Lord, who like wish-fulfilling trees, able to fulfill all the desires of the fallen living entities, and are full of compassion upon them. Haribo, Namaste. Thanks for joining us. as we continue our journey through the wonderful Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the beautiful song of Sri Krishna and his wonderful dialogue with Arjuna, his dear friend and brother-in-law and cousin. So we've been discussing chapter 2 with Krishna's has begun at text 39, having moved on from having described the nature of the soul, or as being different than the body, and that the soul is eternal, whereas the body is temporary. So the body is anicca, whereas the soul is nicca, and the body is asat, or temporary, and full of ignorance, and with no ultimate reality, whereas the soul is sat, eternal, and full of knowledge. Then after discussing that in the sequence of verses from 11 through 30, and Krishna had a short discussion with Arjuna that was sort of much more practical, to do with Arjuna's duty as a kshatriya and his responsibility to act in accordance with his swadharma, his own religious duty, his own responsibilities and obligations, his situation in the varnashram system as a kshatriya, and his duty to protect. Kshatriyas, or kshat, means to protect, and Arjuna had much responsibility and obligation to his older brother Maharaj Yudhisthira, and indeed to all the soldiers on his side, on the Pandava's side, in this massive conflict that's unfolding at Kurukshetra. And then Krishna changed tact and began to speak on, in text 38, how one should perform one's duty without attachment to the results. And then in text 39, Krishna describes this as that previously his analysis of the distinction between the body and soul was Sankhya, as made famous by Kapila Dev, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, the son of Devahuti, who in his conversation with Devahuti outlined his Sankhya philosophy, and wherein he describes the different material elements and how the soul is the 25th element, separate from all the material elements, and various other wonderful topics and instructions that he gave his mother Devahuti. And then in texts 40 and 41, Krishna then made clear the benefits of this working in Buddhi Yoga. So he described Sankhya, and then he began to describe Buddhi Yoga, the yoga of intelligence, where one works without attachment to results. In other words, generally speaking, people are, why does anyone work? It's because they want some fruit. Right? They want the word fruit standing for the results. Right? They want the results of their activities. We engage in activities because we want some result from it. We work because we want to get money. And if we spend money on a certain thing, we want to get value for our money. We want to get an equal benefit. And the whole economic system is based upon this premise of getting value for money, expending effort and getting an equal or better result from our effort. So whereas Krishna is describing in this Buddha Yoga that one should work without attachment to the results. So this is a very sort of like a unique concept. Like if you discuss this with, you just meet someone new and you begin discussing with them that you should just work without attachment to the results. You should do the work for the sake of doing it, for performing your duty. Most people will look at you like, well, what are you talking about? I don't do anything unless I get some benefit from it. Like it'd be a bit like saying to someone, well, look, I want you to go and work in your job and not get paid. So the whole world economic system would spiral into massive collapse. Yet this is what Krishna is proposing to Arjuna, that he engage in the fighting for the sake of the fighting, without attachment to victory or defeat, success or failure. And Krishna says that one who works in this way becomes free from kama bandham, being bound up in kama. One can become free from the wheel of birth and death, or samsara. So this was text 39, where Krishna began his discussion on this topic. Then in text 40, Krishna said, in this endeavor of Buddha Yoga, this working without attachment to the results, and of course there's two, as I've discussed kind of quite at length now, everybody's got it. There's two kind of meanings to this Buddha Yoga. One is like this, just working in Kama Yoga without attachment to the results or the fruit. And one may offer the results of their activities to the Supreme Lord. But this is not bhakti. This is not bhakti yoga. And we discussed last week Lord Chaitanya's wonderful conversation with Ramananda Roy, where he likened these activities of fulfilling one's Vana ashrama duties, or of engaging in activities without attachment to the results, and even of offering everything to Krishna, and even surrendering to Krishna in accordance with 1866, that all these are external activities. What Lord Chaitanya actually wanted Ramananda Roy to discuss was ecstatic love, or spontaneous love for Krishna. Now this was once Ramananda Roy brought up ecstatic love for Krishna, or spontaneous love for Krishna, in other words, an internal activity, the internal activity of the soul to engage in a soul-to-soul loving relationship with Krishna in one of the rasas or another, one of the 5 rasas, and of course ultimately the Madhurya rasa or Shringara rasa, the mood of a conjugal love. That this then was what Lord Chaitanya was most interested in, and continually encouraged Ramananda Roy to go further and to go further and to go further, describing the loving pastimes between Radha and Krishna. So in this, in Bhagavad Gita, at this point, we're of course discussing very much the beginning stages of devotional service. There's the yoga ladder, the different rungs of the yoga ladder, and there is, so essentially, sort of like the lowest rung is acting according to one's responsibilities and duties in the Varnashrama system. The Varnashrama system is established by Lord Krishna, chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, where he describes that the system is established according throughout the world. Krishna's arranged. So anyway, this is like the very sort of the lowest sort of rung. Yoga, like acting, there's what's known as sakama kama, which we'll be discussing this. Acting without attachment. And then Srila Vishnu Krishna says that in text 40, in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear, from bhayat. So I like to describe it, or in activities of devotional service, that one is protected from going into the lower animal species of life. So just a little, so there's no loss in engaging in Buddha yoga or bhakti yoga, devotional service, and just a little bit of advancement on this path can protect one from the worst kind of fear. So there's so much benefit to engaging in the process of devotional service. It's such an important activity for us to engage in. And then in the text that we discussed last week, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one, eka, one-pointed, focused. Their aim is one, sort of like, there's the target, and I'm going for it. Whereas, O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So if one is like we're got all kinds of desires we're trying to pursue, then it's sort of like, well, our intelligence is all over the place, and we'll always find ourselves in indecisive. What will I do? Will I pursue this goal, or will I pursue that goal? And we don't really know what to do. Whereas the mood of for those who are on the path of devotional service, aiming to achieve the ultimate goal of life, or prayojana, or the sadhya, the ultimate goal of life, pure love for Krishna, then everything we do is one-pointed in that everything is subservient to that goal. And so last week I didn't have much time to actually discuss some of the commentaries of the acharyas. And before we move on to texts 42 and 43, I wanted just to discuss some of the points that are made by the acharyas in their commentary on this text 41. And so this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And he says, among all types of intelligence, the intelligence concentrated on bhakti yoga is the best. Resolute intelligence fixed in bhakti yoga is only one, eka. The meaning of this is illustrated as follows. My sadhana is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to remember and glorify Him as instructed by my Guru. So my sadhana means practice. So my practice or my activity, what I'm doing with my life, is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to serve the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, to remember as instructed by my Guru. So our Guru, our spiritual master, instructs us on how to engage in sadhana, how to remember the lotus feet of the Lord, the mood that we should have as we approach Krishna's lotus feet, and how we should remember and glorify Him, primarily by chanting His holy names. And we're instructed in all of this by our Guru. That is also my goal, my sadhya, sustaining medicine, for I cannot give up the sadhana and the sadhya. So if one is very sick or ill, it's like in this pandemic, there's been people they're in a hospital, they get placed on these ventilators because they can't breathe, and the ventilator has to actually breathe for them, bring the air in and expel it out, and so it's like, it's not actually like a medicine, but it's in a sense a medical practice, right? Or, or people, many who have type 1 diabetes, they need an insulin injection each day, or perhaps more than once a day, so that their body can process sugar or glucose. And if they don't, they go into some kind of I don't know what it is, not a fit, it's like a coma, become comatose almost, so anyway, so they have to have their insulin, right? Absolutely have to have their insulin, or the person on the ventilator has to have the ventilator breathe for them. And this is what sustains their life. If they don't have these things, their life is not sustained. And so Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making the comparison here that, having one's sadhana and one's sadhya, so my practice or my process to achieve the goal of life, and my sadhya to have my goal of life as being to love Krishna, to serve and love Krishna, that this is the only thing that matters to me, and everything I do is in this connection, then this is my life-sustaining medicine, just as the insulin sustains the life of the diabetic. This is my most desirable object, the most dear to me. Nothing else is as dear to me as this following this process and of developing my love for Krishna. It is my duty, and of course in Vedic society, duty is very important, or dharma. So my duty is my duty. I must do this. I'm obligated to do it. Although in Bhakti Yoga, this, that Dharma has this obligation or responsibility or duty. It's like something imposed externally upon me that I must fulfill. Right? It's proper, or it's an obligation that I have. Now one may engage in devotional service out of a sense of duty, or perhaps a sense of obligation. But this is very beginning stages of bhakti yoga. This is, whereas purity is done out of love, and in love there is no sense of obligation or duty, like, like, you just do it out of love. There's no obligation involved. Oh, do you mean I have to? Do you mean I have to? Do I have to offer to the deities each morning? Do I have to have Guru Puja every day? Do I have to chant on my beads every day? It's kind of like this sort of, this may be the feeling that someone has at the beginning of their devotional practices, or maybe a new person comes along and hears about what kind of activities a devotee engages in, and they kind of ask, well, what do you have to do that? Whereas the devotee is doing this out of love for their spiritual master and for Krishna. And so it's not a question of, do I have to? It's like, no, I want to. I want to please my spiritual master and Krishna. And so this is, what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is describing here in this little paragraph. This is my most desirable object, my duty, and nothing else is my duty. Nothing else is desired, even in dreams. So this is the one-pointedness and the having the one aim that Krishna is describing here in this text 41. It says, Ekeha Kurunandana. Only one goal. There may be happiness or sorrow. So, motivated out of my love for Krishna, then I don't care if there's happiness or sorrow. I can be happy or I can be sorrowful. It doesn't matter. Samsara may be destroyed or may not be destroyed. So whether I become liberated or not liberated, whether I remain on the wheel of birth and death or don't remain on the wheel of birth and death, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, so long as I can love Krishna. And of course this is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and one of his that his only desire is that at least that he be able to be born in the house of a Vaishnava, even as an insect, so he can hear the holy names of Krishna. So there's no desire for liberation. It's like when when Lord Nrsimha appeared coming out of the pillar, when Prahlad Maharaj had been was going to be killed by Hiranyakashipu. So then, after offering prayers, and the demigods offer prayers, and first Krishna Lord Nrsimha wasn't too interested in the demigods' prayers, so Lord Brahma sort of puts forward Prahlad Maharaj to try and soothe soothe Lord Nrsimhadev, so his anger would dissipate. And so anyway, Lord Nrsimhadev benedictions, but Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't want any material benediction. He only wanted devotional service to Krishna. And this is also the case with Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, after becoming so angry after his father wouldn't allow him on his lap due to his step telling him that because Dhruva was not born from her womb, he was not allowed to sit on the lap of his father. And so Dhruva Maharaj became most angry, and then speaking to his own mother, who told him, well, the only way you can overcome this is true, you're not born from my womb and there's nothing I can do, and the only way you can get a kingdom greater than your father's is to pray to Lord Vishnu. So Dhruva Maharaj, after gaining some instruction from Narada Muni, who always has this tendency to appear just at the opportune moment, gave him the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra to meditate upon. And Dhruva Maharaj went to the Vana or forest in Vrindavan, actually, and then chanted upon this mantra and engaged in huge austerities. And then Krishna appears to him, and Dhruva Maharaj, on seeing the beauty of Lord Vishnu, then gave up his material desires for a kingdom, and appreciated that he'd been desiring a piece of broken glass, whereas actually the process he was engaged in gave him a diamond. Is being able to see the Lord was like a diamond, whereas what he actually wanted was some material kingdom, and this was like a broken glass. So, and actually these stories of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj, these are very important. Gadadhar Pandit, in his conversations with Lord Chaitanya, and Gadadhar Pandit was a fantastic scholar of Srimad Bhagavatam. And anyway, he emphasized the importance of these pastimes, Maharaj, as being very important for one to understand and appreciate before one studies the 10th canto, and in particular the chapters, I think around 32 to 36, were Krishna's Rasalila pastimes, or his pastime past. And so anyway, so the Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj, they exemplify the examples of the mood of a devotee who there may be happiness or sorrow. Samsara may be destroyed or may not be destroyed. That is no loss for me. Let there only be resolute intelligence fixed in pure bhakti. So resolute intelligence fixed in pure bhakti. So this is the mood of one who is on this path of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, of developing our love for Krishna. This is the mood we should have. So this is a very nice paragraph here. So actually I think I meant to post it on Facebook, but in this Bhagavad Gita group, but I think what I'll do with it is I'll post it in my Facebook page tomorrow, or maybe tonight. So anyway, so it's a very nice little section. There's a few other little sections here I'll just read. One by Sridhara Swami. By karma yoga, which is performed surrendering all actions to the Supreme Lord, there is spiritual intelligence when bequeathed gives single-pointed determination, resolute in spiritual consciousness. So here, Sridhara Swami is defining karma yoga as surrendering all actions to the Supreme Lord. And in doing this, there's spiritual intelligence, which gives single-pointed determination. Of one motivated by rewards are always tainted by the imperfection of fruitive desires, which is binding to fruitive reaction, as well as the defect of not surrendering their actions to the Lord. So if we aren't one-pointed, as Krishna is describing, then our intelligence is irresolute. We're irresolute in our purpose, and our activities bind us to this world. The reactions of our fruitive activities, in other words, our fruitive activities, increase our attachment and our connection to this world and bind us up in the wheel of karma, in the wheel of birth and death, and in the karma bandham. You know, for every action we perform, there's a future result to be received. For every attachment we form, then this increases our connection to and our attachment to this world. So Keshava Kashmiri says, there is a huge difference between the mentality of intelligence involved in actions seeking fruitive reward and the mentality of the spiritually evolved, engaged in selfless actions, not seeking rewards, which bring great happiness. So there's a huge difference. A huge difference. One should perform actions with the thought that is for the ultimate satisfaction for Lord Krishna, thinking that their action will please him, and for no other reason. So this should be our motivating factor. That whatever I do, what do I do each day? What do I do with myself? And why am I doing it? And as Prabhupada said in a lecture one time, it's like, well, who am I doing it for? One time in a lecture he had us all close our eyes and then think about, well, who am I doing what I'm doing? Who am I doing it for? And so we can all, each of us, particularly when we chant our focused japa yoga in the mornings or whichever time of the day you're able to do it, then we should be considering, well, who am I doing this for? Who is the most important person in my life? And if through the process of introspection we see that, well, actually I'm the most important person in my life, then we can take our spiritual temperature, as Prabhupada calls it, and we can see where am I at in my spiritual evolution, evolving from my self-centered situation where I'm just interested in working for my own benefit, to enjoy the fruits of my actions, so how far along have I progressed? Am I engaging in my spiritual activities because I'm seeking happiness or bliss? Or is it because I want liberation? I want to become freed from all the suffering of this world. I want to get into a situation of no anxiety. So of course in the beginning of our spiritual life, a desire for liberation or to become free from material suffering, this can be a motivating factor. This can motivate us to begin spiritual life. That's why when in speaking with new people, we speak about the spiritual happiness and bliss that comes from chanting the holy names, and of course we also speak about the the nature of this world, that it's anicca, temporary and temporary and a place of suffering. We experience various kind of miseries, and I have to say it. Like, I always remember when I was invited to Kauai at one point, and I was told very strongly, don't talk about how this world's a place of misery, because the people on Kauai, they don't like hearing this. They think it's just wonderful, so because it's so heavenly there. Although personally I didn't find it quite so heavenly there, but anyway, it's kind of a very nice heavenly place, and the hippies over there, they don't like to hear about how this world is a place of misery and suffering. But anyway, that's an aside. I just had to bring that up. So anyway, so we have to, take my spiritual temperature and see how I'm evolving as I'm, this self-centeredness and of trying to be the enjoyer. It's not even like we devotees talk about trying to be the enjoyer, but it's like for people who aren't exposed to these concepts, they don't even think of it like that. It's just a given. It's an absolute given that the point of life is to try and enjoy oneself. In fact, it's become so prevalent that if one can't enjoy oneself, that they use it to justify killing babies in the womb. Well, the baby won't be happy, or it's going to make the mother unhappy, and it's going to cause problems. So now we'll just kill the baby. Or if people are old and they're suffering disease or terminal illness, and the fact is everyone suffers terminal illness. We all have a terminal illness, and our terminal illness is called having a material body, right? So everyone has terminal illness. But anyway, if one has a terminal illness with less than 6 months life expectancy, then it's like, well, okay, well, if you're going to be, of course, you should be able to kill yourself, commit, they call it euthanasia. So this is, this all comes from this hedonistic philosophy or misunderstanding of what the goal of life is. Of thinking that the goal of life is to enjoy. To enjoy, and if you can't enjoy, well, what's the point of being alive? And so we need to be able to see where I am personally at in my spiritual development, in my spiritual evolution, and am I one-pointed in my aim to achieve love for Krishna, and am I actually beginning to experience the awakening stages of love for Krishna? And if not, if I see, well, no, I'm engaging in these practices because I'm wanting to achieve some result, I'm wanting to achieve my own happiness, or I'm wanting to achieve liberation from material unhappiness and suffering, then I can see, well, okay, I have further to go in my spiritual journey. So we should always be very real and very honest with ourselves. Devotional service is not an external activity, and this was very much what we discussed last week in with Lord Chaitanya's conversation with Ramananda Roy, that this devotional service is not some external activity. What we do with our body is actually just not that important. What's important is, what is my internal activity? And to give an example of this, many became Srila Prabhupada's disciple in 1986. We used to live in Byron Bay, beautiful place in Australia, and surf town, and fantastic surf break, Cape Byron, and then beautiful long beaches, golden sand beaches. Anyway, Prabhupada has been there several times. But anyway, in 1985, he was there, and he gave a series of lectures at the Byron Bay Surf Life Saving Club, and these are very nice lectures. Anyway, he gave a lecture where he was talking about, how can you compare the offerings that people may give? Like, one person may come and offer $1 million. And then another person may come and just offer a flower or a leaf, So they're coming and they're offering to Srila Prabhupada, one person is offering $1 million, offering a leaf. And then Prabhupada was making the point, well, how can you compare the two? Because it's all about the love and devotion with which the offering is made. And Prabhupada's also spoken that that sometimes in the earlier days of Prabhupada's preaching mission, people used to use typewriters, and it so happened that women tended to be typists and men did something else. Anyway, but different women would feel when they'd have a baby, they get married, they'd have a baby, and so then they'd perhaps feel like not so valuable anymore, because they're not engaging in the activity of spending their time physically typing on typewriters or typesetters. And so Prabhupada's point is that it's not the physical activity or the external activity you engage in that matters. That's not what's important. It's the love and devotion to Krishna and your spiritual master, to Prabhupada, that you do whatever the particular activity is that you're doing. It's how you live your life. Are you living your life with love and devotion for Krishna? Is pleasing Srila Prabhupada the most important? Why you do what you do. This is what matters. It's not whether you're a businessman who's able to offer $1 million, or whether you're an organizer who's able to organize projects, or whether it's devotional service is nothing to do with this. Devotional service is the internal activity of the soul. It's your internal motivation to do what you're doing. So it's not what you're actually doing. You can actually do anything for Krishna. It doesn't actually matter what it is. Of course, if our spiritual master gives us something to do, if we're fortunate enough to receive some instructions and become engaged in his project, then of course, then it's very important what we do, right? But it's important because that's what my spiritual master has asked me to do. and I'm determined to do it, as Krishna is saying here, that one who's on this path of devotional service is resolute in their determination. They're one-pointed. Their aim is one, pleasing our spiritual master and Krishna. And actually, in Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's commentary or purport, he says here, he brings up this point about the importance of pleasing a spiritual master. So he says, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. And so this is an important point, that our spiritual master's instruction. One time I was at Prabhupada's place, and Prabhupada was displeased with me over something. Unfortunately, I don't remember what it is right now. But anyway, he said to me, Mahabhagavat Das, the difference between you and me is that I've made my spiritual master's instructions my life and soul, whereas you haven't. And so, our spiritual master's instructions, his general instructions and his specific instructions, life and soul, this should be our purpose for being. And so Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, he says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So of course Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is the commentator on Bhagavad Gita, and we read earlier his wonderful paragraph. But he says he instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows. Yasha prasada Bhagavat prasada, Yasha prasada nana Gita topi, Dayam stuvams tasya yasastri sanjam, Vande Goroshi Charanara Vindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day, and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. So this one-pointedness that Krishna speaks about in this verse, one-pointed in our service to our spiritual master, to following his instructions, that this is the whole roadmap for my life, the whole guiding principle, the bedrock that my life is built upon. Or as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described it, as my life-giving medicine. So that this, the instructions of my spiritual master, these are my life and soul, my life-giving medicine. That my one-pointed aim and goal is to follow the instructions of my spiritual master. And I do this out of love for my spiritual master, not out of duty or obligation, or because I want to achieve something, because I want to achieve liberation, or I want to become happy. Out of solid understanding, jnana, of understanding my position as spirit soul, servant of the Supreme Soul, acceptance of my spiritual master as the representative of Krishna, and out of a desire to please him, and to follow Lord Krishna's instructions of to render service unto the bona fide spiritual master, Sevaya. So anyway, so thank you very much. We'll leave it there. I really did want to share with everyone these wonderful points from the commentaries of the Vaishnava Acharyas on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And next week we'll move on to text 42 and 43 and 44, which these verses are further describing those who are irresolute and why they're irresolute and what their situation is. So anyway, thank you very much. Krishna. Hari Bol. And if you like, please join us on our Friday night program at Healing Chart 108, where we are discussing, actually I'm not sure what we'll be discussing this coming week, because we finished our discussion on the second chapter of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we might continue on with this. Yeah, we might continue on with the second canto, or perhaps something else. So anyway, Hari Bol, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. It's on that one I just gave you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Haribol, everybody, Haribol. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you for coming, Haribol.